how much I have to work. Think about it. How much I have to work with timing and chance and be flexible enough to adapt and move towards whatever and makes most sense given what I have to work with. But when I'm working with shuffle, for instance, I really don't know, like that's part of the fun. I don't know what's going to come up. If it'll confirm things I already think or am interested in, or if it'll bring to light other things through proximity of videos and connections and placements and all of that put into a context. The tarot helps too. But, and yeah, sometimes I do it the other way, and I have a theme and I just work through connections and I add everything, creating its own narrative, story, playlist, line, and that's one side of doing things. But when I work with shuffle, I choose to for the very reason that I don't know it. I don't have some control. It's a little more of a mirror of the world and how we interact with it. We bring to it what we can, but we don't know how things are going to happen always, most of the time, or what other people will say or do. We can't control the other side of things. So we're constantly in flux, working back and forth, making connections, seeing where things align, where we have common ground and we can build upon that towards a new end or towards whatever it is that you're working on, better understanding. But so for instance, this most recent playlist, Planet 10, you have to put things in context to the videos and whatnot, but how they fall. And even if I do choose a video here or there, or like have to skip because it brings up the same video, or it's on some sort of glitch loop and I have to like restart shuffle, or if there's just something that I see that's like further down the shuffle order line that I think adds an interesting aspect, even if I add that in, I'm usually not like very aware of what like count I'm at. I'm not like always trying to put things, manipulate them to put them in some order, because that's part of the fun of it as well, is like when something you wouldn't normally pick to be put at a certain placement in order for it to have that context, and you try to make sense of it, you find something new. So, but even when I do choose a video here and there while working with shuffle, like I'm not really sure where it's landing, where it's ending up in the playlist. And so then you sort of start to see where everything is going, I guess, but then it's intermixed with things that happen, clues, signs in your own life that take you to somewhere else, a new way of seeing it, a new, like even just a song pops in your head, and that gives something, a story, a whole other facet. And it really is just this kind of, when I talk about in the water sign creative video from a few years ago, I was talking about in fashion school, there's your draping class, and you have to learn structured draping and what they call soft draping. And structured is obviously like when you're draping right onto the form, creating the pattern pieces for something like a tailored jacket or anything that is just a little bit less like fluidy, like, and that's what soft draping is, what I really love, because there's just so much more freedom in it. I forgot where I was going. But at the same time, it's more like working with something in tandem. You're allowing, just the way I described earlier, not only having control of your side of things and having to really feel your way through something. So it's the same way with draping on the floor. You let the fabric sort of instruct the way that it wants to sculpt around the body, and you do that, and sometimes you have to put your input in and guide it towards the, direction that you're thinking it's going or wanted it to go. Or, there's advantages to having something in mind before you start versus keeping an open mind and kind of getting an idea of where you want things to go as you go. And then there's the total abandonment of any control and just letting chance and things like that completely dictate what you've already set in motion. Like the playlists and putting them on shuffle. I guess that's why I'm just so fascinated by the fact, it doesn't even matter if it was algorithms or whatnot, because it's also about when I see something and add that to the archive playlist, from which I will end up pulling videos later by shuffle. So it's all just chance by chance by chance by timing. If I hadn't put that Sarah McLachlan building a mystery video in ET18 playlist, because I thought that it applied in a different way, thing I wanted to talk about, before. And if I hadn't done that, then it wouldn't have come up on this playlist in whatever placement it came up in. And that wouldn't have made me think of my Starry Night dress, which I wrote in the details, updated it, just was a very creative writer a few years ago. Even I look back and I'm like, what was I talking about? Kudos to you. You made sense of a lot of things I said. A lot of word salad. And, but, so I just kind of went back and edited it, cleaned it up, trying to just clearly state what the dress was and how I made it. And it was really hard, actually, to figure out how it went together. Not so much in retrospect. You're like, oh yeah, that might work. But to get it to do what I wanted it to do, and kind of hang away from the body and be loose, but still have a shape, and be comfortable, but still sexy, with the leg exposed. Kind of funny, the Aries midheaven video, she talks about Angelina Jolie, who has an Aries midheaven, exposing her leg. So her leg, it's like making a statement kind of thing. And it's just interesting that as the actress, that's what she would wear. As the designer, because I designed this in 2011, before she wore that, the Oscars, that's the kind of dress I would design, with a complete, high exposed thigh cutout. And, even my, she was a former couturier, and she was our advanced draping teacher for this course, and she had met Andy Warhol at the factory. She told me all about it, how he wanted her to make him, I think, shirts or something, or I don't remember what it was, but yeah, I guess they hung out a lot. She said it was fun. Anyways, but she was an, couturier, and, she would help me, I guess, throughout the process of trying to figure out how this kind of puzzle piece of a dress would go together and unfold and unwrap, but also then have a shape to it, and all the while using 3 different fabrics that all hang differently and are weighted differently. One stretches, the others are 3 different weights. They all will drape differently then, obviously. So just getting everything to work together was quite a challenge, and having to take out all those sequins and the side seams, I realized after. And just a very tedious dress, but even she, with all of her knowledge and experience, was like, I just really don't know how you're gonna do this. She didn't know, and like if I was stoked and what to do next, and in the end, because there was such an issue with like the fabrics weighing differently, sewing differently together at like certain points of this very like contoured dress, that in one spot it kind of wrinkled. It doesn't even really look like that bad, but like for the life of me, I could not. Like I spent an entire evening from like midnight to 7 a.m. trying to get this like little curve to lie flat. And because of that, she would have given me a C, but she was like, but this dress was so genius and hard to imagine and put together and construct that, don't worry, like I'm giving you a B+. And at the end of the day, we were judged by this guy that I personally don't enjoy his taste in design, like a 35th Street shot. I don't even know who he is, but he was one of the judges for this thing. And, I'm kind of glad he didn't pick my dress because I don't like his taste, so if he had, like, I would have. And the dresses that he did pick, like, I appreciate them, but I like what I did better for a sort of film noir, which was the theme dress. And so I was happy with that. I was like, yeah, I'll take the B+, like, whatever. But I still think it is, like, a very interesting dress that I thought would be a lot easier to make in the beginning. It's always, like, the process of it that you understand how much work goes into something. Thought and having to work, like, 3 steps ahead when you're pattern making, knowing what needs to go together with what in order for something to even open, so you can get in it. So anyways, I got really off topic talking about that dress, and it's just nostalgic about design, which is really the only time I care about that. I'm very simple these days. I don't think that I think that much, but I very much want like a uniform like that video talks about. Like, just, it's not as much fun as it used to be unless I'm designing it. I don't really think as much about fashion, but like anymore. I used to like it, but just it's not my focus, I guess. But if you were to like let me loose in a home goods store, or on some sort of real estate tour, then you'd probably have to worry about me because I need it. I need all of it, everything. Obsessed. So, gosh, again, off topic. My main point was getting all the way back in the details where I edited myself in the dressimentary. Very creative wordplay here. I talk about how it was made and how there's a thin layer of silk chiffon over the sequin, so it's more of a demure effect, and it only sparkles when it hits light at certain angles and contours and things like that. So it's very understatedly sexy, I think. And but it also went along with what I had talked about earlier regarding the planet and how it must mask itself, hide itself, change, shapeshift, quote unquote, or like just sort of chameleon itself through space, so it's not as detectable. More of a mystery, a phantom. And like a thinly veiled mask must have, or something. That's one of the videos in this playlist, title of it. And so I just kind of realized that summed up everything perfectly, the stress that tied in with a lot of the space-themed videos, and really talks about, going into the mind of God, just very highly created universe with like a very white glove approach, and just tying back to the other playlists and wanting to understand the mind of God and seeing yourself and everyone as a reflection through all these different means, these lenses of characteristics, personality traits, and the astrology wheel. I mean, they're general, but everything's general until you cross mix it with aspects and things like that, even in your own life. So that's what I think is interesting, is the mixing points, the overlays, the cross connections. Gosh darn it. Trying to get to this gas station. I've taken like 3 wrong ways, and now I have to turn around. Oh my god. And so anyways, yeah, I just tied up that playlist, Planet X, supporting the entire idea of this hidden phantom planet. And I think whether you believe that or not, like, it doesn't really matter. It's more just if you can appreciate the connections and the timing and the effect of working in tandem with those things, with chance, with pulling something together and then revealing that it is perhaps supported because something outside of yourself, having like done this dress years ago, having never could have planned this, nor is it like maybe important enough to even try to plan something like that, like so you can make a playlist like 7 years later or however long it's been. But yeah, and just I'm very distracted. But it just it's interesting how there can be a more straightforward way of describing that dress. Not like bullshitting anyone. To make it sound like the planet, a thinly veiled dress, like yeah. So I just think it's interesting how something like that makes it feel like everything is tied together, past, present, future, all working together in tandem. It's kind of like the Grand Trine, because think of the circle as an entire day. You could see how one side of the other would be like past, present, and kind of like Grand Trine going back and forth, exchanging information between the past, present, and future, and bringing out something sort of poetic in its subtlety and in the understanding of creation, where we pull our influences, how we, I don't know, I haven't even like thought too much about that, but just how everything ties together gives it a sense of meaning, existence, reason, like gives it a sense of realness, I guess, and a confirmation that you were on the right track in pursuing this sort of idea. Or maybe you manifested. In that case, it shows you have such incredible mind power or something. And either way, like, I mean, what better to do with my free time? And so, it teaches you something about the way that you think also, and your process, and how you create. Is it having total control, not allowing there to be any happy accidents or chance, or even allowing more space for that to occur, to work off of chance, to work off of something that you have very little to no control over, like time passing. And just how I guess things repeat themselves, but they repeat themselves in a slightly different way, like shifting around the clock. I don't know, like just it's a different angle, it's a different whatever. That if something, I don't know, I just always feel like we're like working in tandem with the universe, like something shows us something that reminds us of a certain memory, and then that is what's going to happen again, but in a slightly different way. I mean, just the evolution of how, but it's all so just a lot of repetition, I guess. And well, it's 20 minutes. I've been looking for this place. I finally found it. But yeah, I guess that's all. I just wanted to talk about how that works, you know, how it's like instinct, it's intuitive. You feel drawn to something. Sooner or later, you realize different reasons you're drawn to it, like what it makes you think of, connections, like how even that can be like a trigger to get you to an endpoint of a prediction or something, you know, and just how I guess everything's connected and how you can change things up and work with chance and experiment in art and in life. I mean, it's all connected, I guess. So, the experience of it all. And yeah, if I think of anything else, my goodness. I'm always like, I always saying I need to like, just get out one of those, my phone and like record things because I'll get too lazy later to like, try to type all this out and remember everything that I was thinking or wanted to express or talk about. Whatever sort of pulls my attention, I guess. And it just is one big cycle, I guess, you know, like, it just kind of amazes me. Like, what if that Sarah McLachlan video hadn't come up on shuffle for this playlist? And I wouldn't have thought of that. You know, the whole thing, your conclusion. I mean, this, like, amplify this or metaphor this out, like, to whatever it is you're doing on a larger scale. Like, but that conclusion wouldn't have happened otherwise. It's just this, you know, fate and destiny, but also free will, like just very much how we work within the web of all of that, I guess. And I guess art is just a formal way of exposing that. Those cycles, those connections, the flow between past and present, chance, all of it, how it all intertwines, works together to produce a certain result, then, you know, it just gets swallowed back up into the web of everything. But I guess, you know, just always expanding and having more and more to pull from later on to assist you and to just take an experimental approach, you know, to I think it's important because you can, you know, plan out a painting or whatever it is you're doing to a T, and you can execute it. But like that speaks to a different, you know, love of, I guess, maybe just the act of painting, but like because there's not the love of like process so much, because process implies like I don't know, I guess it's a process. Whatever, I've gotten really off topic, but just like there is something to be said about planning something out to a T and following that, executing it exactly. But maybe this speaks a little bit to like the structured draping and the soft draping. The structured, you have an idea of what something is, what you want it to be. That's how you pick your pattern pieces that you need to make, and you go about it in a very technical way and to achieve an end result that you want, because like obviously it would be bad if it just completely turned out to be something else, unless that's your intention, to just go in with like something to let it transform in the process. But also starting without an idea and letting that dictate how you would then react, I guess, or but to like a good, end result, like just allowing chance to be the generator of blah blah blah, the building blocks, things you have to work with. And that just not always having to know the end, what it's going to be, and letting that be a bit of a surprise, and but also knowing that it's going to like at least turn out pretty good if you have good things to work with. And so I don't know, it's just all of these different ways of looking at process and our back and forth with universe, with time, chance, and what beauty you can bring out of that. Not just live through it, but like how can you reflect it? And the reflection is the expression, can be, and adding to this world in beauty and experience. And how can you be like the sculptor? I talked about sculpting the fabric onto form, working with it as it moves, as it takes shape and form, and helping it along, or doing what you just helping something take shape, whatever it was ever meant to be. And so I think we play that role. We also play the opposite role, and it's just interesting how those things, those different perspectives, form our views, form perspective, form a narrative, form a playlist even, like just all these different levels. But if you can look at something that is so hard to understand, to comprehend on a smaller level, if you can break it down into its components and like just sort of understand things on a more basic level, I feel like your appreciation for all of it just increases. And the more you appreciate things, the more grateful you are for things, the happier you are, and the more positive vibes you give out, and hopefully you get back. And just in any way you look at it, like allowing there to be an expression of this dance we do with fate, with time, with chance, with the universe, with others, and letting that be meaningful, be impactful, be transformative in a way. So I don't know if any of that made sense to people, and I hope it did, even if it's just some part of it. I can go on tangents and I've been really talkative the last few days. Must be something with Mercury or Gemini, but like unusually so. Like just wanting to talk and type. I guess that's more the Mars in Libra, where it's like Libra, your words, your thoughts, mental activity, and Mars is, where your God just sort of very aggressive with that. Or something not necessarily aggressive, just enthusiastic. Or whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so behavioral sciences, also really interesting. Psychology, like, if it's so true about Sagittarius, like, just wanting to do everything. Like, I wish we lived longer so that you could go to school for so many different things and, try all these different things, like psychology. Also interesting. Architecture, interior design, like, I love it so much. Like, it makes me way too excited and happy to just like rearrange furniture and test out lighting solutions. Like, some people go to bed, I don't know what people go to bed thinking about, but like what puts me to sleep is imagining perfect like little houses and how I design it and imaginary rooms. Yeah. So, gosh, again, tangent. Yeah, I just wish there was more time to do it all, like, because there's just so much that you really just can't totally appreciate until you study it, until you really get into it, until you experience it. So I just feel like you're missing out. And there's so many things that are interesting, and I don't know. Again, letting like certain things come to you also. And anyways, I've talked way too long, and actually do what I came to do here and not take up space. And so, anyways, thanks for listening. I hope it made sense and hope you enjoyed this little drive along with me. And I hope you're having a great, oh my gosh, hope you're having a great day. And it's Friday, so happy weekend. It's Venus Day too. It's Day of Love. So good luck with the lottery. Also, everyone, I think, is like playing. Really excited about it. You can kind of feel everyone's excitement. Everyone's just like wanting to, move up in life. So, anyways, all right. Well, have a great weekend.